Welcome to that Bible guy. Are you fanning your gift in the flame? We'll recognize this phrase from 2 Timothy 1 verse 6, where Paul says to Timothy, "For this reason, I remind you to fan into flame the gift of God which is in you through the laying on of my hands." He reminds him to fan into flame the gift that he's been given. Well, comes from the Greek word, the fan into flame, anousaprine, which means to rekindle or stir up. And it's a powerful verb indicating that we need to do something with the gifts that we've been given and not just let them lie dormant. Now, we do all have gifts. If you think you don't have one, sorry to say, but you're wrong. We've all been given gifts from God. And in order to be fulfilled and happy, we need to be using them, and we also need to fan them into flame. It's important that we do this. We cannot let them lie dormant. Why am I talking about this today? Why am I sharing about this? Well, I had to problem solve in my own life recently for a few days and weeks, where I felt like I just wasn't purposeful. There's something was missing. It was actually, I had a staff wellness retreat. Joe Pede and Sean St. John were teaching with their wives on, trauma and also getting enough rest, Sabbath rests, being more at peace. And that was great. And on my way back, I was reflecting on that, but there was something that just was troubling me slightly, and I wasn't quite putting my finger on it. I wasn't thinking and maybe feeling the way I normally did, and I just thought I need to reflect on this. And it came about because obviously you're away from your situation a little bit, so you can look at it all. And this, as a result of my problem solving and much prayer, this is what I realized. I've not been fanning my gift in the flame. Now we'll look and see whether that's what you're doing or not, or if you're doing that. But obviously, in order to know whether we're fanning it into flame, we need to know what our gift is. And for me, I've seen it coming out over the years more and more. And I've always been something that tormented me is I've always been a thinker. My wife says I don't have men and women's brains. I don't have a nothing box. And she's right. I really don't ever stop. Maybe it's ADHD. I'm not sure. But I never ever stop. For me, I love to read and to learn and to study and to analyze, to teach, to preach, then explain. That's the outpouring of it. To communicate and problem solve. But it all starts with that learning and analyzing and reading. And sometimes ultimately being a thinker and then learning how to apply that to help others. But I've noticed myself maybe just not doing that to the same extent, or maybe doing that, but not in the area that God wants me to do it in. And that's what I'll touch on now. But what happens when we don't fan our gift in the flame? What are the signs that we're not doing that? Well, here's 5 I came up with for myself that help me to understand this is what's happening then when I'm not fanning my gift in the flame, which again, for me, it's reading, learning, analyzing in the world of the Bible and teaching about the Bible. What happens when I don't do that? And these may apply to you, the things that you notice. The first thing was a vacuum. There was just a general vacuum in my life when I wasn't doing that. A lack of the same sense of purpose and meaning and direction. When the brain wasn't filled with the things that it should be, then it fills up with other things, which we'll come to now. So that was the first thing. Just a general lack of purpose and direction, a general vacuum. The second thing then would be that I felt myself at times, even over the retreat even, and just in general, that I'm not fulfilling my role. As for me as a minister, I'm not fulfilling it in the ways I've felt like I've done in the past. Not being as clear on that. Maybe that's the same for you. You're just not fulfilling that role that you know you could fill or have filled in the past or would like to fill, and you're just not able to fulfill it because you're maybe not fanning the gift in the flame. The second thing then, or sorry, the third thing, is that I had this general sense of just not growing, not advancing, not getting somewhere in my life. Obviously, in reference to this specific gift, I'm not, like Second Peter says, I'm not adding to knowledge, love, and self-control and goodness. I'm not adding upon one thing upon another in my life. That's the third thing. The fourth thing that I noticed, and this is probably a big one for me, was that other things were becoming more important, or too important, should I say. We're going to have other interests in life, and for me, one of the big things is my physio, strength and conditioning, weight training. But when I'm not fanning into flame the gift that God's given me in the world that God wants me to use it, the ministry world, I would default then, my second option would very often be the world of physical training, physical therapy, and so on. That would be the world instead. And I find myself thinking about that more than I'm thinking about ministry related matters. And that may be the same for you. If you're not fanning God's gift into flame in the area He wants you to use it in, you're probably using that gift in general maybe somewhere else. And that ends up, you realize that that's happening and it can become a problem. The last one, then, the fifth one, is, and this is pretty significant, if you're not fanning the gift into flame, you're just not in a position to help others. Why is that? Well, 1 Peter 4:10 tells us that we've been given the gift in order to serve others. You've got your gift that you have, for me, reading, learning, analyzing, and so on, to teach and to preach. And if I'm not able to help people when I'm not fanning that gift in the flame, I'm less equipped, less able, less quick, less ready, less desiring to step out and help people. Maybe that applies to you. Maybe some of these 5 things apply to you. Just a general vacuum, not fulfilling your role, not advancing and growing, other things becoming too important, or just generally unable to help others the way you would like to. Maybe that's the way you felt. So, question is, how can we fan our gift in the flame? Well, you got to know what your gift is. You got to have that conviction that you're not fanning it into flame, to then be in the position like I was, sitting praying about this, thinking, how can I fan my gift into flame? Well, the first thing I would say, most important thing of all, is deep and persistent prayer. And I say those words deliberately because just to pray flippantly in a short period of time didn't help me. I needed to pray persistently, and I did for several days before I came out with the conclusion that I'm not fanning this gift into flame, and here's what I must do. So I'd advocate deep, deep prayer. The second thing would be then, and these next 2 things are quite linked, is just make a specific decision. Then if you know what that looks like, or speak to others about what that looks like for you to fan your gift into flame. Others who have that gift have probably done so, and they'll give you some good advice. But with that advice, make a specific decision, and with the prayer, specific decision about what you're going to do. And the third thing linked in with making a specific decision is, I think it's going to require a time investment. And for me, that's exactly what it has. So for me personally, I think I need to make decisions to do more of my master's modules that I was doing in biblical studies. I need to be reading more. I need to then be thinking about biblical matters and current matters as well also. So that's what I need to do, and I'm sure that'll be applying to you. Pray a lot about this, make specific decisions, talk to people who've got the same gift as you or even others, and then make a time commitment as well. A time investment. So fan your gift into flame. When we do this, we will be so unbelievably fulfilled in our life, helping others, growing ourselves, full of purpose and direction, and excited as we live our Christian life. Hope you've liked this study. If you have liked this, please hit the like button. Please share it on for other people. Subscribe to that Bible Guy if you haven't already, and let's get his word out there.